Hello everyone. I've decided I want to theorize more on the semantics behind my current main crisis. Maybe this video will help me come to a decision more clearly, or at the very least it could be informative to myself. I don't really think this helps other people very much, but it's something I want to talk about. Maybe other people are having a similar main crisis as I am with their janky mid-tiers, and they want to think about this kind of thing. So here's what I've come up with. I'm not here to argue about the tier list, but this is what I think are the best 14 characters in the game. From Fox to Doc. And this order could be changed in a number of ways, but again, I'm not really here to argue about that, although I may make a tier list video in the future. What I'm here to talk about are the current decisions I'm faced with my dual main thing. I don't want a solo main. I like playing two characters, but I also don't want to play anything more than two characters. As it stands, what I've been doing now is playing mostly Samus and with a secondary Pikachu with a Ganon pocket. I don't really much like that. I don't want to have to pick a third character because it takes my attention away from learning matchups with two characters, which is already hard enough. Solo maining is, for improvement, the best way to improve, but I I think with certain mid tiers, it's good to have a secondary. Like Pikachu needs a secondary for Ices and perhaps Puff and Peach. And Samus needs a secondary perhaps for Captain Falcon, which is why I think these kind of work nicely together. With Samus, I can do well enough against Fox. I don't like it, but I can do well enough against Falco. I can do okay against Marth. I don't like Puff. I can do well against Sheik. I can go even though if it's not fun, against Peach, and it's arguably a losing matchup for Samus. Abysmal for Captain Falcon, but I can kill him. I can combo him, but oh my gosh, the neutral is just. I don't like that his Nair can go through my missile and hit me and then set up for a knee, which kills it like really low percents. Yoshi, I'm not sure. That's actually a matchup I'm pretty unfamiliar with, but I don't feel like Samus does too badly at it. That's a mirror. I feel like Samus may slightly beat Pikachu. It's 55-45 toss up in either direction. I'm not sure. Definitely beats Ices. Probably 55-45, maybe 60-40. I don't know about Donkey Kong. That's new territory. It messes with me. But I don't feel like Samus outright loses. And then Luigi, which everybody hates, and Doc, which neither of us combo each other, and it's a lot of heavy neutral, and it's very boring, but I do feel like Samus barely comes out on top. So my bad matchups as Samus are Captain Falcon and Puff, and me personally, Falco. I do not like trying to catch a Falco that is lasering me as Samus. I do not have enough forward momentum to catch him. I can't stand it. What Pikachu does is he covers that, at least some of it. He doesn't cover Puff, obviously, but on Pokemon Stadium, you could argue that he might, because it's a long stage that he can dash dance with and he can kill early off the top. So against Puff, I would take Samus for Dreamland or Battlefield or the smaller stages, I think, aside from Yoshi's and Stadium. And Yoshi's and Stadium, and maybe Battlefield, I could take Pikachu, and it won't be abysmal because I can still kill Puff as long as I can get an up smash. If I can't, it's going to be hard. Pikachu then covers Captain Falcon, does okay against Falco, but Falco can still just kind of dare and laser you and make your life not fun. Falco's frustrating no matter what, but at least I would prefer to play Pikachu into Falco than Samus. I can kill him earlier, way earlier, and it's far easier to get in on a laser campy Falco as Pikachu than it is as Samus. Marth, um, while Samus does okay into Marth, Pikachu just does better, especially in certain stages. So I feel like these two characters, they complement each other nicely. On certain stages, I feel like Pikachu beats Donkey Kong. But otherwise, on other stages, he loses. And I think that can be another thing where, depending on the stage I pick my character, I cannot play Pikachu into Ices. Even Sopo has a death chain grab on Pikachu. And I cannot play Pikachu against the Mario Brothers. Okay. So my holes in this really are the floaties. Peach and Puff. And I encounter some frustration with the janky low tiers, mid tiers, but who doesn't? So then, the other option I have, or rather, I'll just go into why Pikachu main solo Samus doesn't work, or Pikachu main secondary Samus doesn't work, is because I don't have enough matchups as Pikachu that I would switch off of for Samus if I were to focus mainly on Pikachu and feel good about it. I would play Pikachu into these, and Samus is not a character I would counterpick into Puff. Like, oh no, I'm losing to Puff as Pikachu, better pick Samus. Like, it doesn't help. And then I would play Pikachu into Sheik. No, I would play Samus into Sheik, right? I would play Samus into Peach, and that again doesn't help. I would play Pikachu into Captain Falcon and Yoshi. I'd play Pikachu into Samus. I would play Samus into Pikachu. I'd play Samus into Ices. And then I'd play Samus into the Mario Brothers, depending. But Pikachu into that. So the reason this doesn't work, where I focus more on Pikachu with a secondary Samus, is I don't have valid enough reasons to switch off of Pikachu onto Samus. The issue that causes then is that if I want to main Samus Pikachu as a dual main or Samus primary, either or, I have to really like playing Samus. The problem with, I guess, playing Samus mostly is that as I rank up, what characters and players start to do is to abuse my slow ground movement by forcing me to whiff punish. By forcing me to whiff and then punish. So more of the foxes I run into as I get better at the game are going to rely on a hit and run strategy. Or a Falco is going to rely on laser spamming me. Or a Mars is going to rely on walling me out. As I get better, the counterplay against my character is going to be force her to make a mistake. That's not as fun as maining Pikachu. So then I have this other option here, where I main Pikachu with a secondary Ganon. Pikachu into the fast fallers, Pikachu into Marth, Pikachu into some of the mid tiers. Definitely Pikachu in. I shouldn't call Sheik a mid tier. She's a top tier. Sheik, Samus, Donkey Kong, maybe. Definitely Captain Falcon. And then Ganon actually does a really good job for his character placement, like 45, 55 maybe, against Puff, Peach, and does really well against Ices and Samus. Then does good against Yoshi because he breaks armor. Does okay against Donkey Kong. And is more fun against the Marios because he doesn't have to win neutral nearly as much. Oh, I just realized there's this line here. I don't like that. I'm going to fix that. Okay. So, with this, I feel like more of my matchups are not only covered, but I have a valid reason when I encounter a bad matchup to switch to the character I like playing otherwise, because he does better into that matchup. If I were playing Pikachu as a main, and I run into a Peach, switching to Samus doesn't necessarily satisfy that matchup. Switching to Ganon does a much better job at doing so, to my opinion. Does that make sense? So that's what I'm seeing. And I want to do another Road to Gold where I use this and see how that feels. And if it turns out that I enjoy this more just for the fact that I love Samus, because I do, then that's fine. I can just get really good with those two characters and I can make that work with stage counter picks, right? Because they cover each other's worst matchups. Samus covers Ices, and Pikachu covers Captain Falcon. But the floaties, it would have to be a matchup that I just learn and use stages to my advantage, which is acceptable. as long as I like this better. So I'm going to do Road to Gold with this and see which did I enjoy more, right? The other thing, the other option that I don't think is a good idea, I have these smaller because I don't think they're good, is a Samus main with a Ganondorf counterpick. Why is this not as good? Because the Ganon covers the Puff and the Peach that Samus hates, but he does not cover Captain Falcon at all. He probably does worse. So my losing matchups here would be these two, right? How would I deal with Campy Falco and Captain Falcon in general as this dual main? This would be a huge wall, and I don't know if I could get over it. So that's why this wouldn't work. This doesn't work. This doesn't make sense. This works as long as it's either Samus primary or dual main based on feel and stage counterpick. This works in general. I actually think this is a good dual main. Arguably as good, perhaps maybe even a little better than Pikachu Young Link. It's kind of at that level where you have two mid tiers doing really well to cover each other. But that's where I'm at. And so I think I do want to try another Road to Gold, focusing mainly on Pikachu and Ganon. And I want to see how that feels. I don't know if you've made it this far into the video. It's not really something that I imagine helps the viewer very much, but it helps me organize my thoughts. So if you have stuck around this long, thank you, and have a good day.